What's up, everybody? I'm Justin Maytat, and I'm here with my sister, Melissa Matat,
Hey everybody.
and we are Room 51, podcast where we talk all things board gaming. Today, we're coming at you with our next 10 for our top 51. So we're going to be
Whoop.
doing 40 through 31 today. The pretty good games. We're dead in there. We are dead in there. This is awesome. All right. Uh, do you know who's going first for this?
Nope, but I could go first.
Do it.
All right, so my number 40 game of all time. So this is a game that when it first came out, it had a lot of divisiveness, I guess. People didn't quite like the theme, and then people started saying, well, it's sexist if you don't like the theme. I don't know. So weird stuff happened around this game. But I'm talking
Love it.
about Predaporter. It is a worker placement game. It's got that fashion theme in it where you're running your own fashion company. You're coming up with different clothing that you're going to have your models wear during these different shows that are going on. And you're trying to be trendy. You're trying to get PR, all this kind of stuff. And it's actually pretty thinky. It's a deeply strategic game, I think. It's an economic game as well. I love that this Euro game pretty much was able to inject a whole lot of theme into it. And I'm not particularly fond of like a fashion theme usually. I'm not into that, but I love that it's different and that I don't know, I get really into it when I play this game. I'm like, yeah, I'm running my fashion show. I got these dope jackets and whatever, I don't know. But anyway, I really like Predaporter, my number 40.
Yeah, I for that game, I mean, it didn't hit my list, but I do really like it. It's one of those games where, yeah, I'm not into fashion, but the theming in the game just works really well. Like getting your different, I don't want to call it yarn. I don't know
Yeah.
what they call it, but like,
Fabric,
your
fabric.
fabrics. Thank you,
Yeah.
God. Your fabrics and stuff. It's a cool thinky game. It's like fairly medium heavy-ish game. Like,
Yeah, I'd say like
it's
medium weight.
yeah,
It's pretty simple once you get it, but like the
absolutely.
strategy is pretty in depth,
Yeah,
I'd
the
say.
strategy's definitely there. All right, I respect that pick.
Yeah.
My number 40 is, I mean, I immediately loved it. Like it was just an instant love at first sight right when we started playing it. It really gets your adrenaline going, gets everybody kind of freaking out. It's Magic Maze, and did this already hit your list, Melissa?
No, and we don't know if it will.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if it did or didn't. I think it hit a recent list, that's why. Like one of our 5 for 5s or something. But Magic Maze, every single person has a direction in which they're able to move the different characters, and you need to move these 4 different characters to different locations through this it's a mall, right? It's like
Mhm.
that's yeah, it's a mall. I didn't want to make that up. So it's a mall, and there's somebody that's flipping the tiles, and everybody has all these different things that they're able to do, but nobody can speak to each other. There's no communication, and you have a timer, and you have to be able to do everything, and it gets super hectic. And there's this big red pond that you put in front of somebody to let them know, hey, you got to do something because you're the only one that can move them left, and we need to move this person left, and you're not moving them left. Like, if you some people that ain't just playing the same, they don't like
Yeah.
it. I understand that. That's fair. It goes to a really high player count. I find it a ton of fun. I don't think I've had a bad experience. The closest to a bad experience, and I don't even really care when this happens, is people will start mumbling. Like they're getting so anxious about the game, and they'll be like, move left, move left. Like, they're trying not to tell them to move left, but they're telling them move left. Uh, I love it. I think it's a hysterical game, and a lot of great experiences come from it.
Yeah, I actually didn't realize how much you like this game. I didn't think it would hit your list.
Nah, I'm into it.
I dig it. All right, on to 39.
I'll do 39, right?
Yep.
All right, awesome. 39 is a game that wouldn't have hit my list and definitely not hit this high if I didn't play it again recently uh, to making this list. It's Mechs versus Minions.
Mm.
It's a purely co-op game by Riot Games, and I mean, I love League of Legends. We play it a ton, so of course I was automatically gonna want to play this game. And once we did, it was like, holy, this is a good game. The component quality is awesome, especially for the price that you're paying. Like the production is amazing, and it's a fun fairly thinky co-op, and it's this programming game, and I really like the way it works, and I like that they didn't try to make League of Legends in a bot. I've played well over 2,000 hours, probably over 3,000 hours of League of Legends by now. I don't need League of Legends in a bot. I don't need a MOBA League of Legends style. I like what they did. They took themes from League of Legends. They decided to use the Yordles, and they used the minions and everything. And the different objectives are nice, unique, and fresh. It's a cool co-op game. So yeah, my number 39, Mets versus Minions.
This is another one I'm surprised by because when we first were playing it, you were very meh about it.
Yeah, uh, when we first were playing it, I wasn't as into board gaming though.
That's true. That's true.
That's the difference, I think. And now that I've gotten more into board game and really started to love board games, this game really grew on me.
Good. I'm glad. It's a good game.
Me too.
My number 39 is the rulebook isn't great. The iconography and everything isn't fantastic. The graphic design on the board isn't amazing. But I love this game because it makes me feel as though there are gears on a clock that I am manipulating. And I'm talking about Trismegistus.
Do it. All right.
Hopefully I'm saying that properly. But I love this game. I don't know what it is. It clicks with me. I love the yes, I have to do this in order to do that. That way this thing can happen. I don't know I love that. And the game just makes me feel like, yes, I am turning these gears on this clock and it's all coming out just the way I had planned. And I love that. I love seeing my plan that I've had since, turn one, finally all the gears just kind of aligned and now it's all turning to make what I want happen. I even like the theming of the game with you're an alchemist making potions, you're fulfilling contracts or whatever it might be. And spoiler alert, Teotihuacan is not on this list. This is the one that I like more actually, and I feel like it's kind of gone underrated, and it might be because of the problems I had stated, but oh my goodness, I love this game. So that is my number 39, Trismegistus by Board and Dice.
Yeah, for me, Treese doesn't hit the list, and it's exactly for the problems that you stated. I feel like this should have been a game that I loved, but instead the rulebook really hampered it down, and the iconography is just horrible. It's just bad. I went all horrible just yet, but yeah, and that rulebook really hurt that first experience for me, really badly hurt it. I was so bored because of how hard it was to learn that game for me. That's how it was for me.
Right. I mean, well, some of us are just, more intelligent than others. They could pick it
Yeah,
up a little bit quicker,
I'm just a simple kind of guy. I like my simple board. No. All right,
All
cool.
right. Well, on to 38. So my number 38 is another worker placement game. I really like worker placement. This one is on the lighter side, but it brings you to simpler times that weren't all that simple, really. But my number 38 is Stone Age by, we have the Z-Man copy, Z-Man Games copy. So Stone Age, you have your workers, you're going around. Dice is a huge part of this game, right? You're trying to roll dice, and those dice determine how many resources you get. And that could sound kind of bad, right? Like, oh, there's a lot of luck involved in the game. But there's actually a lot of mitigation, right? Because it's how many workers you assign to that task will determine how many dice you get to roll, right? So do you want to bump it up? Or do you want to kind of just take your chances, right? So I like that. Okay, I could put a whole bunch of workers in this one place to give me more resources, which makes sense to me, right? The game is kind of thematic, really, which is cool for a worker placement game. I actually feel like, yeah, I'm in the Stone Age, trying to build up my village, gathering those resources to build those huts that I want, to complete certain objectives, to further my advancement in this, I guess, village that I'm trying to help grow and everything. I like even there's the hut where you want to get more workers. You have to put 2 workers in there to gain a
I
new
love that
worker.
one. I
That is
love
so
that.
funny to me. And
I
yeah,
don't
I feel
find
like
it that themey though.
really I find for a
It's the
worker
artwork.
placement Euro game, I find it thematic.
See, I felt that about Predator. I don't feel that super hard about Stone Age. I kind of agree with you, but I don't know, not that much.
Well, I feel it, and I like it. My number 38 is Stone Age.
Fair enough. My number 38 is also kind of a lighter game. It's from North Star Games, where you get to build different species of animals and give them evolutionary traits to eat as much food as you possibly can, and it is evolution. I love it. I mean, the objects of the game is literally end up with the most food eaten. I think that's so cool. And you can at any point switch your species. They always start out as herbivores and just eating from the watering hole together. But at any point, you can switch your species to a carnivore by playing the carnivore card on one of them. And then they start eating other people's species or your own other species. And if they can eat, they have to eat. So if you got to eat your other species, you got to eat your other species. And what I really liked about the game is it's not very punishing. I think it's kind of a bit of a lighter game, easier to grasp, so it's good to teach new players. And the fact that the game's not very punishing. So if you have a species that goes extinct, you're not dead in the water and now you're just playing the rest of the game knowing you don't lose. No, you're fine actually. The game gives you stuff back because you just lost your species. It doesn't hurt you for that. I just think that the theme really comes through in the game. I like the mechanics. It's a smooth game and I just find it a lot of fun. And I like I said, the theming really is I think what pulls it for me. Like I like that idea of giving my species evolutionary traits.
I really like this game, and I was looking back. So for those who are interested or have already seen it, I had written a couple of lists in the past, right, on Board Game Geek. I did it in 2018, my top 10, and last year, 2019, I did my top 25. And Evolution was my number 23 game of all time last year. This year, Evolution actually does not even hit my list.
Yeah.
I still really like the game, but it's one that I don't know what it is. I don't feel like pulling it out and putting it on the table. But once it's there, I really enjoy it. But for whatever reason, it's just one of those games that I'm like, I don't feel like playing it until it's actually in front of me, out on the table.
That's fair.
Yeah, I don't know why, but I do like the game a lot.
You're not into animals though. I wonder if that has to
Yeah,
do with
I'm
it.
I hate animals. No, I'm not an animal hater or anything. I'm not into animals. So that could be why.
Yep.
All
All
right,
right.
on to 37.
Yeah, it's my 37. So my 37 is I it's one of my favorite co-ops. It's not the highest co-op on my list, but if somebody's asking me what's a good hard co-op, I'm telling them Ghost Stories. All right. Ghost Stories is one of the first co-ops where I realized how much I love losing in a co-op. I love it. I think co-op should be hard. We finally beat it on like our 15th try or something, like something stupid like
We
that.
didn't actually play it all that. I think it was only like 8 tries.
Oh, 8 tries. Okay,
Yeah,
that's not that bad. If
we're so
the
good
game,
at it.
yeah, the game's tough, and it's. I mean, maybe some people might find that's a little uh luck based. I'm not sure. I could see that because there is a die roll in the game and the flipping of the cards, so you don't exactly know what's next. But I'm okay with that because then I just view it as does the game give me something to prepare for those types of unpredictable circumstances? And this game does. You gotta set up where your character's going. You have to be like, oh my god, there's these waves of ghosts on these couple of tracks. There's a bunch of stuff to worry about even though the ultimate goal of the game is to defeat this one ultimate undead ghost thing or ultimate villain guy that's towards the bottom of the deck. I love it. It's a highly recommended game for me if you are looking for a co-op that is hard to beat. That's Ghost Stories, and I really love a co-op that is hard to beat. So yeah,
Yeah, this is definitely the and when we say we beat the game, We beat it on initiation level.
Yeah,
So the
exactly.
very like not even easy level before that, like the
Exactly.
tutorial level.
Exactly.
And it was difficult to beat.
Yeah.
So
I also like the artwork. This is one that I want to commend the artwork on. I enjoy the artwork on this one.
I like it too, yeah, for sure. All right, my number 37 is a card game. It's actually a living card game, and it's one of the earliest ones. I'm talking about Lord of the Rings LCG by Fantasy Flight Games. Now, talk about it. So, this is another really difficult game to win at, especially. So, I have not all that much content for it. It's really just like the core box and one of the sagas or whatever. But out of the core box, you get these three scenarios, and oh my goodness. I'm pretty sure that the second and the third one are impossible to beat. It's just impossible. I think that you actually need to go get more cards from other packs in
Huh.
order to beat those scenarios. I am almost certain of that. Either I
Would that bother you if it's true? If you have to go out and buy more cards to beat the scenarios? If like that's actually true?
I don't think it's legitimately true. I think that if you get really good at the game and you know it, and you'll be able to construct a deck to beat it. Um, if I knew for a fact, like, yeah, no, you have to go get cards. I don't think that it would bother me all that much because of a couple things. One, you could play it cooperatively, which might make it a little bit easier to beat. So there's one option. Another option is if you do have to go get other cards, there's still that deck building involved. So it's not like, oh, pay to win. It's like, no, you have to get other cards, just kind of like in any other collectible card game where you have to go get other cards to make your deck
Right.
really good.
Okay, so
Um,
you're viewing it along those lines. That's fair.
yeah, and I think that's what the LCG format is really about. It's like the collectible card game that is not booster pack driven in a way,
Right.
right? And it's not about like, oh, you could spend like $500 on this one card to like, it's not like that. Like you just keep getting the packs, you keep progressing the story. So it's not, I would want to get the cards anyway just to progress the story. So I'm getting those cards. Now, Lord of the Rings doesn't quite have like that overarching story unless you get the saga stuff. But I want to get it just to like play other scenarios, play other little stories that are involved in those packs. And now I could use those cards to actually go ahead and maybe construct a deck that will actually beat the scenario that was in the core box. But I don't know. It's very difficult. I like it anyway. I love Lord of the Rings. I love the whole LCG format. So this is probably not the last you'll hear of LCGs from me. So that is my
Cool.
number 37, Lord of the Rings, the living card game.
All right, nice. I mean, I'm okay on the LCG genre so far, but I do want to try it more. I'm
I
all
think you
about that.
should because I
Yeah.
I still cannot understand how you don't because this kid he was so into like Magic the Gathering and all that. He loves deck constructing. I feel like especially for Lord of the Rings LCG, it's all about the deck constructing to beat the scenario. So
I think
I don't know.
that's the thing. I haven't gotten to the point of really doing the deck constructing, so I gotta try that out. All right, so is it my number 36 or is it yours?
I have no idea,
I think it's
but
yours.
I think it's mine. Yes. So number 36. This is a collectible card game actually, which is interesting. So this one is pretty new to the CCG realm. I have
I
been
got
loving
you.
it, and it is Keyforge again by Fantasy Flight Games. Richard Garfield, you brilliant man. um, I love Keyforge. Magic the Gathering doesn't hit the list. I like Keyforge better. Not to say that I don't like Magic the Gathering, I do, but Keyforge is just so cool. It feels fresh. It's got the unique deck. I mean, you could spend just $10 on a deck. And I know people are like, oh, that's ridiculous. Like, obviously, I'd get more decks to get like a really great deck or whatever. Like, okay, whatever. You do you. That's fine. I don't think that's a Keyforge problem. I think that's more of a player problem. Like, you got some collection issues going on. But you could essentially pay $10 and play the game and have just that one deck that should be absolutely viable, right? You could play that deck. Maybe you don't like that deck. Maybe it doesn't click for you. That's fine. You could go out, get
Yeah.
another deck that really clicks for you. Even if you have 10 decks, you spend $100, you have 10 different decks that are absolutely totally playable. You never have to spend more money ever again, right? You have complete variety in that. Um, as opposed to a lot of these other collectible card games where you'll spend like $500 to $1,000 or whatever on just one deck to really like, but that's fine. Now, people don't like it because of possibly you don't get to construct your deck. So you don't have that in this game for sure. But that's not what the game's about. If you're looking for that, go play another CCG, right? That's
Yeah,
fine. Nobody's
I agree
telling you
with
to
that.
play Keyforge. I like Keyforge. I do like deck construction, but I like Keyforge for what it does. I like being able to discover my deck, to figure out how I make this deck work for me, how I get those 3 keys that I need. That's another thing. This game is a race. It's not just about inflicting damage to your opponent's life points, which like so many CCGs are about. This one is a race to forge 3 keys, be the first one to do that. I love that. I think that's so cool. It's a different objective. So yeah, that's my number 36, Keyforge.
Keyforge doesn't hit my list for the same reason Magic doesn't. I just didn't want to put a CCG on the list because, I mean, Magic would hit the list higher than Keyforge for me. If you're just looking at the game, I like Magic more as a game, but Keyforge is really freaking cool. And it took me a while to get out of the mindset of the CCG has to be better than Magic. But like you said, a lot of CCGs felt similar to Magic, but not as good. I mean, for me, I don't like Hearthstone because I feel like is this kind of like Magic, but not as good. But Keyforge isn't like that at all. So, and I'm really happy that they did that. And yeah, it's very cool to get a unique deck and everything. It's a cool thing. I highly recommend checking that out. All right, though. So my number 36 is a game that went, I think, fairly under the radar. I don't want to say very under the radar, but it didn't get as much popularity that it deserved, and that's Reef. All right, it's this interesting game where you're pulling cards into your hands. You have a max hand size of 4, so you have to eventually play your card. And what you have to do is you have to take 2, whatever the card shows, 2 pieces that you're going to then place onto your Reef, and then you score. And what's interesting about storing is it has to do with what's on top. And generally, I think all of them are that what you're storing is not matching the colors that you're placing. So it always forces you to, okay, you have to place these things that conflict with what you're about to store now. And how do you want to do that? And it kind of just becomes this very thinky game in a very chill sense, though. It's a very chill game that's just easy going. And even though it's saying thinky at certain points, it's still like really cool to think about. All right, what am I doing? What's my plan here? How am I constructing my Reef? What am I doing to store? Where am I going to place the things before I store them? It's just a fun, pretty game. I really think this one's just a bit underappreciated.
Yeah, I agree. This actually even hit, I think it was my Speak Up Game of the Month,
Yeah,
one of the months, I don't remember. But yeah, no, I definitely like this game. I like how chill it is,
yeah,
I guess. And it's super pretty. I love that too.
yeah, absolutely.
On to the number 35.
Yeah. All right. So 35 is one that, like, while playing it for that first time, it just kept getting cooler and cooler for me. It's a 2-player game that I really appreciate, and I'm super excited when I get to whip it out and play it. It's Raptor. It's this asymmetric game where one player is playing as a mama raptor with baby raptors, and they're trying to get their baby raptors to escape, while the other player is playing as the scientists that are trying to capture the baby raptors or put the mama raptor to sleep. That's right. The other objective for the mama raptor is to kill all the scientists. So if all the scientists get killed, the mama raptor also wins. So both players will have 2 objectives that allow them to win the game like that. And I just find that super cool already. Like, I love that, having those different objectives, that those two paths to be able to win that are very clearly laid out like that. I enjoy that a lot. Uh, One of the things that really pulled the game to like, whoa, this is a cool decision making, is both players are going to play a card that has an event on it, like an action that they'll be able to perform, and a number. The one with the higher number has to perform the action points, while the other player gets to do their actual action. And like the action points are based off of the difference of the two numbers. So you'll have 2 action points to do your basic actions, things like that. If you play the 7 against a 5. Uh, I found that really cool. It was a nice thinky way of managing your hand and deciding, all right, what am I playing now? And also, what am I going for? Am I trying to knock the mama raptor out? Am I trying to capture the babies? Am I trying to just kill all the scientists? Also, the flamethrower cards, the way the scientists are able to put out flames and stuff to start blocking off paths for the mama raptor. It feels like such a hunting game for me. And I love that, really trying to narrow the babies and the mom into like a corner and stuff. I just found it so cool, and it was so engaging. I really like this game. So that's my number 35, Raptor.
Yeah, I unfortunately have not had the pleasure of playing Raptor because this kid never wants to play with me.
Wait, you didn't
Uh,
play with me? I thought we
no,
played
bro, you
recently.
hate me,
Who did I play with?
Sabrina.
Oh, I guess only her. Okay, sorry. I thought we played recently.
No, dude, I've been begging,
Yeah.
pleading, wanting it
Uh-huh.
to play Raptor.
But alas. All right, so it's your 35.
So my number 35 is another lighter Euro. I don't really know how to describe the mechanics of this game, but I'm talking about Istanbul by Pegasus Spiel. So this game, you have your merchants and you're going around, and it's kind of got that Mancala aspect to it, where you're dropping off these tokens to say like, yeah, I'm moving this far away, but if you go back to a location that you had a chip there, you get to pick it back up. But if you run out of chips, then you have to like go back to the center of the board to like gather all your, I guess, merchants back together or whatever.
We were
Uh,
just having a conversation on how like it's odd to describe the mechanics of the game, and somebody on Facebook described it as Mancala meets pickup and delivery.
yeah,
I
and I
just found
guess
that
that's
weird.
sort of true.
Yeah, but it's
I don't,
odd to me.
yeah, I don't know. I feel like it doesn't quite hit the nail on the head. That's the saying, right? Yes. Um, I think I messed that up. Anyway,
Who cares?
Istanbul is really, really cool. It's a race to get the most, I mean, to get a certain amount of gems by the end of the game. Um, and I don't know, I really like this game. It's almost like you're sort of, I want to say that you're like building an engine, but it's not really an engine. It's more like you're building a path that you're going to take, and
Yeah,
pretty much you're trying to be the most efficient in the game,
yeah.
right? As with probably a lot of racing games, because it's a race, so you got to be the most efficient to do things. And it's super light, it's breezy, it's not like a total brain burner. It doesn't take all that long to play, which is really cool and nice. So that's my number 35, Istanbul.
Yeah, that game's surprisingly quick. I really like it.
Yeah.
I like it. Good stuff, good stuff.
All right, number 34 is another euro. Or I guess some people might think of it as an abstract strategy. Now, this actually does employ legitimately the Mancala mechanic. And I'm talking about Five Tribes by Days of Wonder. First of all, I love the look of the game. I think it's really pretty and nice. And I as a kid, I used to like playing Mancala. I loved that game. So when Five Tribes was then introduced to me much, much later, it had that familiarity to me. And like I already knew that I liked that mechanic. It was already in me, right? So using that and playing it now, this game is thinky as all hell, right? Um,
Yes.
and there could be a good amount of AP in this game because the board state just changes every single turn. So you can't
Yeah.
even quite, you might have some idea of like, okay, I want this to happen. And then freaking Justin does it. And you're like, you idiot. And then
Yeah.
the next player does it, Sabrina. And you're just like, you fool. I was going to do that, you know? And then all of a
Yeah.
sudden it's your turn. And you're like, crap. What am I going to do?
Yeah.
And now you're like, I'm so sorry. I'm taking like 10 hours on my turn because I don't know what to do, right?
Yeah.
But I usually just kind of do whatever, and then I tend to lose, as most games. But I don't know. I really like this game. I even like the special powers that you could get from the gins, which is cool. So that's my number 34, Five Tribes.
That's a cool pick. A lot of interesting decision making in that
Yeah.
one. And definitely prone to AP, especially if you're playing like a 4-player game. By the time it gets to your turn, it was so different. Like you cannot be like, oh, and then I'll do this next turn. Like, no. Wait and see. Like it's
Wait and
not.
see. Yeah, pretty
Yeah, no.
much. Yeah.
All right. I'm curious if you can guess my number 34. My only hint I'm gonna give to you
Okay.
is you think this should be my favorite game of all time. Yeah, you've said before that this you at least think it can hit my top 3 and to become my favorite game of all time. You did see this hitting number 1 on my list.
Well, I was thinking of one game, but I would be surprised it's this far down. So I'm not gonna say that one.
Really, I'm curious which one you're thinking of now. So, I mean, do you want me to give a hint? I feel like I want to give a. There's not many hints I can give this to this
Well,
game.
the game I'm thinking of is Scythe,
No,
but
not Scythe.
I would imagine that's much higher on your list.
I
Spoiler.
mean, I don't like Scythe. Nah, it's
uh,
it's a it's light Scythe in this. So Scythe to me is very Euro-y, even though there's I think Scythe is a very Euro-y game. This game I consider to be more hybrid-y. I consider this to be hybrid. This game actually had an argument on another top 100 list. I'm sure
Blood
many people.
Rage.
Blood Rage,
Yeah.
yes. This game is a Viking game that is all about card drafting and then doing your stuff. I don't even know how to explain it. Like it goes through a card drafting phase where you can be taking objectives that you're going to go for, your quests, and also you can take warrior upgrades for your warriors that you're going to send out. Your leader upgrades, I believe that might not be true. I don't remember now. Just overall clan upgrades, and then you can get your bid halting monster. You can draft one of those and then play it. It's a cool, thinky game. And another really cool part is, I mean, one of your objectives could be send as many of your Vikings to Valhalla so they have to die. And if you had X amount go to Valhalla before Ragnarok, also, you'll get this many victory points, all that stuff. There's like all these cool different ways to go for victory points. And there's also, though, a decent amount of player interaction, which should possibly make the game feel like kind of sucky. I know the first time I played it, I felt like meh about it. I was like mad at the game because there was a huge point spread. Because every single thing I tried to do, Melissa was doing her own thing. She wasn't even doing the same things I was trying to do, but we just were clashing, and I kept coming up like one short, and she was fine on her objectives. So there was a huge point spread, and it's all right. Now that I know that, I'm cool with it. It's a cool game, and I have a feeling it is going to move up. I haven't played it enough, though, is
Yep.
why I think I haven't had the love for Blood Rage. The other thing is, as of right now, because we don't have a good insert, Teardown is killer, and
Yeah.
that does take away from a game because once I'm done playing a game, I want to be done playing the game. I don't want to have a chore, like
Yeah.
after dinner when you have to do the dishes. I don't want to feel like I'm doing the dishes after a board game. So that's actually I think that's my only complaint about the game. And not
Yeah.
even the point spread. I'm cool with there being a huge point spread. It's the teardown.
Yeah, the teardown is atrocious. I mean, they literally come in just like these little brown boxes, the
It's
miniatures. It's
amazing.
like, wow, okay, that's what we're doing here today.
It's pretty fantastic.
It's like all the effort that went into those miniatures. Yeah, that insert, not there.
They didn't care. They could not care less. They're just like, whatever.
All right. On to number 33. I don't know why I'm like putting on an accent, but it's just happening.
I didn't know this until you pointed it out. I'm trying to think now how many times you've done that so
I'm
far.
not sure. It's getting to me.
I think number 33 is mine, correct?
Yep.
All right, cool. Number 33 is a game that I love. It taught about terrible teardown. This game has a terrible setup. I spent about 2 hours worth of work before I can even play the game for the first time because of. Do you know what game I'm talking about yet?
No.
Oh. Okay. All right. Here's a hint. It's in the command and color system.
Oh. Okay, yeah, I'll let you present that one.
So I love this game. I love the theming, but it's hard to hit the table, especially if I played it with somebody that doesn't know command and colors, and they to teach them was actually kind of tricky. It's Napoleonics. I think the Napoleonic Wars are super cool. I love games themes around it, and this game is sweet. I love the different units that exist in the game. The rules work. Like everything about this game works. You know what doesn't work? The setup. The setup is horrible. The reference sheet is like 4 pages. Well, it's 2 pages front and back, and it's nice and pretty, and that's awesome, but it's also intimidating. Uh, it's a hard game to hit the table unless, and I think a lot of war games have that issue because it's got to be people that are really committed to war gaming. And this is kind of, even though it's lighter than some of the really bulky war games, it's still a bit too meaty for somebody that doesn't care much about war games. If you're like, there's a lot of good Euro games to show people that aren't that into Euros because it's not that much of a bear. I don't think that's very true for a lot of wargaming, and Napoleonics is one that I wish specifically with the setup because you really have to lay out all the tiles and everything properly, and find all of the right troops and units and stuff. But it's really good. The combat is thinky and engaging, and it's tense from beginning to end. It doesn't feel like there's this slow setup. It feels like it sets you up and like, okay, here's your setup. And then in the following turns, do you want to move your troops back? Maybe you want to push them forward, be more aggressive and stuff. You really get to feel that decision making in the game. And then the attacking really starts to happen and unfold. It's a really fun and intense game. I love it. My number 33 from GMT, possibly my favorite publishing company right now. I really love GMT games. Napoleonics.
Yeah, Napoleonics, it's funny too, because it has that intimidating look and the reference sheet and everything, but from me playing it, I remember it being like, it's not that bad.
It's not.
You know, like to learn, it's not, it's actually, I wouldn't say easy, but it's kind of easy. You know what I mean? Once
Yeah.
you get it, it's like, oh, okay, that makes sense. You just kind of, I don't know, but yeah, you're right. The setup
Yeah.
specifically is not good.
I think it might be a little much if you've played Memoir 44, I think you can fairly easily move into this
Yeah.
game. Like you have extra to learn. I
Well,
played it
that's
with somebody that
probably
hasn't played
true.
anything, you know?
Yeah, that's probably true of many of the Command and Color stuff.
Yeah, is that like this person, he didn't play any of the Command and Color stuff before. So it's like, oh, I have to teach him Command and Colors first. And then let me teach him all the other Napoleonic stuff. And I think Memoir 44 or a game like Memoir 44 is a nicer intro.
All right. Well, my number 33 is quite possibly, and I'm pretty sure it is, my favorite tile laying game. And I don't quite
Interesting.
like tile laying usually. I've found that uh, a lot of the games, it's like I want to like them. They seem so cool to me. And then whenever I play them, I'm just like, okay, like the game is like meh, you know. Uh, Even things like Carcassonne for me is just like, okay, that's cool.
Oh, I like
Um,
Carcassonne.
I think it's okay. Like, I know people love that game, but anyway, the one that I'm talking about that I really like is a real-time strategy tile-laying game. I'm talking about Galaxy Trucker from CGE. This is a wacky, zany game. It is completely and totally up my alley. You are building your spaceship, you are watching it get absolutely wrecked, and I love that. I don't know why. Maybe I'm a masochist, but it is just so fun. It's like, yeah, look at this thing I made. And then as it's getting destroyed, if it actually survives, I'm like, yeah, my ship survived. It did that, even though it's like kind of, limping on back to me. I'm like, okay, that's fine. You made it, buddy. I love this game. It's difficult to teach, I think, because you have to explain like everything, uh, all the tiles and what they could do, and then people are like, "Wait, what?" And then people could get very angry at this game. It is not a game for everyone.
Yeah, this is not for the faint-hearted, the faint of
No,
heart.
the Pain of Heart. No, it's not. But it is totally for me. I love this game so much. I'm so happy that I played it. So that's
Yeah.
my number 33, Galaxy Trucker.
I think this one's gonna go higher and higher on your list. I don't
I
imagine it
think it
staying
would.
here.
I
Yeah,
think it would.
I think it's a fantastic game. You're right. Like, and going into it knowing that my ship is gonna get blown up totally excited me. If you're not into things like that, I don't recommend this game. This game's divisive. I think you either love this game or hate it. I don't know how much in between there is for this one,
I don't
you
think there
know?
is much in between for this one. I
Yeah.
think it's one of those ones where you either love it or you hate it.
Yeah, it's a really cool game though, and it really is. I love tiling. I love tiling and doing it in real time like that, connecting all the lines. Super, super cool game. All right,
Yeah. And
awesome game.
I love
Awesome game.
space themes. So
Sci-fi and board gaming is awesome. I'm not. I love sci-fi and fantasy, and I think in movies I lean a little, and like TV, I lean a little more towards fantasy than sci-fi. In board gaming, I think it's the reverse. I really like sci-fi and board gaming.
yeah.
There's
Well,
something about it.
specifically for me, it's not so much sci-fi, it's space. I like space.
I agree. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's space for me also. It's
Yeah.
space. You're right, and that might be what it is. I might just really like how board gaming does space. I know. Also, lately, like I read Dune recently. I've really been liking sci-fi lately.
Cool. Here we go.
Very cool. Yep.
Up to our number 32. I didn't
Yeah.
do an accent this time. I purposely did not do the accent.
Was that a conscious choice?
It was a conscious choice and I made it.
All right. Very cool.
So my number 32 is I guess it's also kind of a little bit of a wacky game. It's light again. You'll begin to notice I kind of like the wacky stuff, I think. The quirky, wacky, whatever. But this one is a very popular game and it is King of Tokyo by IELLO. King of Tokyo, so you're playing as a monster and you're vying for control pretty much. You either win by victory points or you win by killing off all the other monsters. It's got that push your luck element in it. It's got that Yahtzee stuff going for it with the dice and everything. I love dice. And I like the decisions of this game. I like that you could purchase different cards to continue to ramp up your power in the game, which is really cool. I love the power up expansion specifically for this game, where your monsters now they have their own set of cards that give them their own set of abilities that no other monster can have, and it's usually very thematic to what the monster is, right? Which is cool. I love that. The only thing, and I feel like a lot of people don't quite talk about this for some reason with King of Tokyo, like the people who really love it, um, it could overstay its welcome, really. It could go
Yeah.
specifically to when somebody gets eliminated, it could go on for another like 20 minutes. I feel like a lot of people will say, yeah, well, when you get eliminated, the game is pretty much almost over at that point. I have not felt that way for many of the games.
That's such a lie.
You
It
liars,
is.
you're lying to us. No,
Yeah.
I feel that way. I feel like when you get eliminated from the game, it's possible that the game could go on for another like a good 20, maybe even 25 minutes. Um,
No, I've had a game where I think we were 5 players, and a few of them were new to board gaming. That's fine, but it wasn't like they were having a slow pace and having a bunch of rules questions or anything. But I got eliminated early. Now I got cocky and stayed in King of Tokyo. Really overstayed my welcome there. but that game really overstayed its welcome after I got eliminated. I walked away. Not like walked away in the sense of I don't want to watch anymore, but I got really bored.
Right, because what do
It
you
took a
do?
while.
And that's the other thing. Like people will say like, "Oh, well, you played it like kind of dumb." But is that really a player problem or is it the game's problem? Because the game I feel like lends itself to being push your luck. And if you push your luck to the point where it's like, okay, well now I can't play for the next like 20 minutes. That's a problem, I think. So
I
I
agree.
know I just like bashed King of Tokyo. I really like this game a lot. I do. That's the only problem I have with it, which is why it's a little bit maybe lower on the list. Not that this is low, it's 32. That's actually pretty high. But
Yeah.
I like to play now with not going up to 20 points, going up to 15 points, which I think actually helps mitigate that a little bit. So, but anyway, I love this game. My number 32 is King of Tokyo.
Yeah, no, I like the game. The problem that you brought up is the reason it didn't hit my list. I think it does take a little too long, even if nobody does get eliminated. But I agree, player elimination can be a problem in board games. It's something that a lot of people complain about. I'm surprised King of Tokyo doesn't get more flack for it. Like something, a lot of good games that we really like are games that mitigate that in some way. For example, Heroes of Land, Air, and Sea. Once somebody loses their capital city, game ends.
Yep.
That's it. Game
Hmm.
ends.
Yep.
Cool.
I agree.
I like that. You know, I mean, imagine TI4 getting eliminated round two. If that's like a common occurrence in TI4, it can happen. Don't get me wrong, it can happen to get eliminated early. But if that was a common occurrence, I would not be cool with that game because
Yeah,
now
yeah.
you're just chilling for 5 hours. What?
Yeah.
All right. Sorry, talking a
Well,
little bit
I
long
mean,
about that.
yeah.
But
I mean, King of Tokyo, we're talking about 20 minutes, not 5 hours,
exactly,
but
you're
yes.
talking about 20 minutes. I agree. For me, that's actually something that I have a big problem with.
Yeah.
You know. All right, though. So my number 32 is this game blew up, super popular, Wingspan.
Okay.
uh, I was not expecting to care nearly as much about this game as I do. It blew up, and I did not get why. I thought it looked really pretty. Bot server was cool. And it was a game, though, that I was definitely like, I gotta play this game. And Sabrina was like, she wanted that game. She wanted to get it. When she finally got it, she finally got her hands on it because I think you gave it to her for her birthday. She
Yeah.
finally got her hands on it, and I was like, cool. I gotta check this game out. I was going into it like, oh, I'm glad I played it. I'm good though. I played it and I loved it. That was a sweet engine building game. Bunch of cool decision making in it, and it's not too heavy, but there's like depth to it. And we were playing a 5-player game. Don't know if I recommend it at 5, but there was a lot of AP going on from some of the players. That's all right. um, but that definitely is what slowed down the game. But when I was playing that game at 3 or 2 or whatever, it really plays so well and it's fun and thinky. And I love the bird artwork. I think birds are pretty just in general. Like I love seeing birds. Um, and seeing the birds in that game, I love it. Like our sister Eileen, I think she actually likes this game, but she hates birds. She hates birds. I love birds. And this game, I was like, oh my god, I love this game. Like this game is sweet. I really like this game. It's one that I find that when games like blow up and get this much hype, I'm often left slightly disappointed. Not that I feel like, oh, that was bad, but more like, oh, they didn't live up to it. This game did for me. This game really did. I really like this game. So it's Wingspan from Stonemaier Games.
I definitely like this game more, a lot more than I thought I would. I thought I'd be very like, yeah, it's a cool game. Meh, you know. I really liked this game, but um I did think if it overstayed its welcome. I will never play it with more than 3 players ever again. um I think 3 players will be the max for me for that game. And even with that, I still feel like it overstays its welcome a little bit. Um, but yeah, the depth of strategy in this one is much higher than it at first glance, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Just with
Yep.
that, because there's the public objectives, you have secret objectives, there's these different ways that your birds are going to score you victory points. It's so cool.
Right.
There's
Yeah. I think just the other thing is like, as we said earlier, I'm not into animals, so
yeah,
this theme does nothing for me. But
right. I think
I
that's
have
the
to
other
say
thing. I
though,
like
the
birds.
theme in this one I actually kind of liked. I liked the artwork a lot in this game. That it
Yeah.
actually made me like, all right, I'm with it. Yeah, give me that bird feeder. Yeah.
E- Every single bird has like a different stat on it. So like all of them will have their wingspan on it. I always take the secret objective that has to do with wingspan, just as the name of the game is wingspan.
Wingspan.
I will
Yeah.
always take that secret objective because
Me
like this is
too.
wingspan. I love it. I love it.
Me too. Yeah.
And
All
something.
right.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah. It's our 31 now. I was just gonna jump right to it.
Well, anyway, yeah. So our last number here for this series, or not series, this video,
Yeah, I was
uh,
gonna say.
number 31, and I think
Woo!
it is up to you.
Yeah, the reason why I got excited to mention my 31, sorry, I jumped the gun a little bit there, was because you said you would not play Wingspan past 3 players. This is another game that you've said the exact same thing about, and you already know which one it is. It is Disney Villainous. And I agree with Melissa. This game is best at 3, but I played it at 6, and it took a while. I understand why you would say this game overstays its welcome at 5 or 6 and stuff. I understand people saying that. For me, I was okay. I was still engaged with this game. Disney Villainous. First of all, the theme is awesome. All right. I like Disney. I'm into Disney. Sabrina's into Disney, so I'm even now more into Disney because of that. The Disney villains are so cool to me. So the theming in this game, they nailed it. They perfectly nailed it. The secret objective, sorry, not secret objectives. Each villain that you can play as has their own objective with their own unique deck and this very unique path to trying to win the game. Like the only commonality among some of them is you have some sort of thing that you have to start your turn with. So like Maleficent has to start with 4 curses at all 4 places. Things like that. I love it. You get this little guidebook. It's such a good gateway game, in my opinion. It's a light game, and it it has the action selection like the way Scythe does, where you move your piece onto one and you can do the actions there, but then your next turn you have to move it off onto another place, and then you can do there's a bit of take that with the fate cards that you can you make another player flip their fate cards and you choose where to slot them and it hurts them. But what's even cool about that is some of the villains want to get through their fate cards. Captain Hook wants to find Peter Pan through his fate cards, bring him to his ship, and then you have to defeat Peter Pan there at the ship, and that's how you win the game. And with all these different players' objectives and everything, it doesn't get too complicated or overwhelming for a new player. That's amazing to me. And I do agree, though, the gameplay is best at 3. It's a really seamless way to play the game. It's very snappy. Then it has a fantastic flow right at 3. I think that is where the game's best at. I highly recommend this game. If you're a Disney fan, get it. If you're just looking for a really good gateway game for when new players are coming in, get it. It's a good game. It's by Ravensburger, so the component qualities are nice. The artwork's nice. Uh, I love this game. 31 is too low. I'm moving it up. No, I really like it. There's just other games that I love, but I love this game. What am I saying? I really love this game. There's just other games I love a little more.
Yeah, no, I really like this game as well. Although I have to say, I would take some caution in showing this to like people who are brand new to the hobby, because I
No.
think that there's a little bit more going on than people are telling you. Okay, because this game I think is fairly easy to grasp, but I don't know. I feel like you could have some people who are new to the hobby that it won't click. It
S-
might be just too different, too new in a way.
I agree with that, but I think you can say that about a lot of gateway games, and I think that yes, and I think that Villainous I think you give it too much flat. I'm telling you, if they read through that guidebook, they're going to be okay.
Yeah, if they
And
read through the guidebook, what if they don't
yeah,
wanna?
if they don't want to, then don't play Villainous with them. And I'm not even saying that in the sense of like, I think even if you're an experienced gamer, you should read through the guidebook. It's very quick and it tells you about what cards are in your deck. It makes the game good actually. Like the
No,
guidebooks is a
you're
big
giving them homework.
aspect. No,
This
and
isn't school.
the other thing is, I played a 6-player game. There was only one person that was brand new to the game. Sorry, brand new to gaming. All the other 5 people are into gaming. That one person won in that 6-player game. This is a fantastic gateway game. People love it. People can't stop talking about it.
Yeah.
This actually did a decent amount of buzz. There's a new one coming out for Marvel that I'm not too interested in. I disagree with you, man. This is a good gateway game. I don't know how it would be though if nobody is a gamer.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's the
Yeah,
only thing
because
to
you
give
only had
caution
one
to.
player. You only had one very new player. If you
I
had
agree with that.
like 3 new players, I don't know. I think it would get a little tough.
I agree with you. Then it's a catastrophe. I agree with you on that.
It's catastrophe.
I don't know if you should buy Villainous if you're purely not. If you are willing to read through the rulebook and learn the game, it will be okay. There are just a lot of new players that actually don't like to do that. Like they won't want to read through the guidebook.
All right. Well, my number 31 is actually a crossover, not from this list, from the previous list that we did. Um, it was one of our earlier games. It was actually the first game that I specifically bought when saying, you know what, I'm going to start getting, deep into this hobby. This was the first game I bought, and it was Shadows over Camelot by Days of Wonder.
Wow, this is higher. I thought it wasn't going to hit your list. This is
Really?
way higher than I thought it would end up.
No, I love this game. Yeah,
Okay.
I love social deduction games, trader games. We play with the rule of like you don't know if there's a traitor in the game. I know some people are like, no, you gotta play it. There's definitely a traitor. But I love the suspense of like, I don't know, like, is there a traitor? And then it even lends itself to the traitor to kind of feed off of that. Like, yeah, there must not be any. I mean, like everything's going really well. And then all of a sudden, bam, we lose, and they're like, haha, I was the traitor all along. And we're like, what? I love those moments. And that has actually happened to us, which was very cool. Multiple times, even.
You did it once.
Did I?
Nobody. All right, the story for that game, and this is the cool thing about this game. I feel like so many stories have come out of it with
Yes.
the way we play it. Everybody was like acting like things are going well. It's okay. Place the siege engines though. Don't flip the black darts. Let's just keep playing siege engines. It's okay. We don't think there's a traitor. And the person next to you were like, place the siege engine. And you were like, I'll get rid of the siege engine. So it's gonna be at 11 siege engines, 12 siege engines. You'll lose. And you convince the person that you was Eileen, I think. You convinced her to place the 11th siege engine on her turn. Everybody was super cool with it. We're like, yeah, and then Melissa will just take care of it. Oh man, it's looking good. And then so she does her thing, game's looking good. And then right at the start of your turn, you just grab a siege engine and you just place it nonchalantly.
I gave that smirk. I gave the smirk of like, it was me.
That was amazing. Like we were none the wiser. It was just, I love that. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to like take over.
That was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like this game. For like what you said, like the stories that come out of it, it's simple. Now, this is a pretty simple game because it's got mechanisms in it that people a lot of times are familiar with, especially if they're familiar with like poker, right? I mean, a lot of it is poker, right? You're coming up with straights, you're doing pairs or 3 of a kinds and things like that. And we come from a very big like poker household. Like that's what we played growing up, poker. And so it was very familiar to us. We like that. I think most of us like the social deduction stuff. And I just love the game. We haven't played it in a while because we had a moment of like, wow, this overstood its welcome. I guess this
Yeah.
is like sort of the theme of this list today of like games that overstay their welcome, but I love them anyway.
Yeah.
But uh,
Yeah, I've
this
had
one
a few.
doesn't usually. It was just that we had this one moment where it's like, okay, we are thinking way too hard about this game that is really like not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
Let's just go. Um,
It
and
was
ever since
kind
we haven't played it, but
yeah, it was kind of interesting. I think that time I don't want to like call anybody out and I'm not blaming these people, but I think we were playing with people that were very big Town of Salem werewolf players. So
mm,
they were very into the argument of who's the traitor. So I think that really elongated the game of really breaking out into arguments of this person's the traitor. And I think that started to break the flow a little bit, and it caused
I
the game to
guess.
overstay its welcome. That's how it
But it
might mess
wasn't
up.
even that. It was more like, should we place a siege engine or not? And we
That's right.
spent like 25 minutes deciding on that one choice. It was like, just do it. Just place it. Who
I
cares?
remember that now. You're
I
right.
don't even
You're
think I
right.
was the traitor that game. And I was like, I don't even care. Just place it.
I don't think we had a traitor
I don't
that
even think we
game,
had a traitor.
and I
Oh my
think
god.
that's what really killed us because we played for a while arguing throughout it about things like that, and there wasn't even a traitor.
Yeah.
Like,
But it's funny because I love that.
me too.
But at the same time, don't take 25 minutes to make one decision.
I agree. I agree with that. And also, just to say, just to kind of comment on how nostalgic this game is for our group. Our sister Eileen, when she saw that my number 51 was Shadows over Camelot, she saw the picture. She literally went, "Oh, Shadows over Camelot," because it's like that really is one of the core games of our group for some
Yeah.
time, and we just haven't played in a while. But that was a
Yeah.
big one for us getting into the hobby.
Well, I think partially we haven't played it mostly because of me, because I've been painting the miniatures and I take forever. Like I don't know what I
Yeah.
take like 3 month long breaks in between like painting it. I'm so close though. It's almost done.
They look sweet. They look sweet. We definitely should post photos of them. But yeah, that I'm sure has to do with it.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Definitely want to have it hit the table again though. Love it.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, this has been another what are we calling this? Just top 51 list?
I think that's what all we're calling it.
All right. Well, this has been the next portion of our top 51 list. Thank you so much for listening and or watching. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Melissa McCack. You could also follow our Facebook page called Room 51. Let us know, what are some of your favorite games? What did you think of our list? What do you agree with, disagree with? Just think we're like nuts or something? I don't know. Anyway, you've been listening to / watching Room 51.